Like moths to a flame, you've thrown caution to the wind for a glimpse into our world. Well, now you're in it.
Welcome to Effed Up Stories.
Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of Effed Up Stories. I am your host, Will Pender.
And I am your co-host, Ryan Sharp.
And tonight we have a guest with us. His name is Ward Weinheimer, and he has some very interesting videos that seem to have captured actual aliens on film. And he also has, of course, very strange stories to add to that. But before we get into Ward's story there, I just want to run through a couple things. If you have your own effed up story on the paranormal or UFOs, we'd love to get it from you. Get it onto the website and into a podcast. And you can do that by visiting the official website, which is effedupstories.com. That's EFFEDUPSTORIES.com. Go to the menu, hit the submit link, fill out the form, and hit submit. And we'll get that done. And also, for anyone who has any personal experiences or information that's otherwise hard to come by regarding reptilians, I'm very interested to hear from you as well. We're doing a little bit of research on behalf of one of our donators, known only as the eccentric listener. So if you could get that to me, and we can get that to him, and also we're going to be doing a podcast on the topic. So if you could do that, that would be greatly appreciated. And with that having been said, welcome, Ward, to the show.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Very happy to have you. So let's just start from the beginning. So my initial introduction was you sent me a link to your YouTube channel that has well, I mean, from the videos that I've seen, I mean, yeah, they are, like typically, it's kind of hard to see what it is, but I could definitely tell that there was something
right
with almost like a human shape, but at the same time irregular, that appeared to be on the foot of your bed.
Exactly, yeah. Unfortunately, I had no memory of filming this, and unfortunately the television was the only light on, and it was a 2009 shitty cell phone camera. So all those three things combined, made it not so, great. But, I thought about it for a while, and I wasn't even going to release any of my videos because, they're not perfect. But then I was thinking, well, just because it's not perfect, does that mean that nobody wants to see it? No, of course not. It's really, that right now, this is the best that we have out there, I think. I mean, every other alien video I see seems to be fake. I don't see too many really real ones. And if it does seem real, it always seems to be done by an anonymous person. So you can't find out, anything about it.
So that answers one part of my question, was like what made you decide to record it. So you don't recall actually doing it. It was just
that one, the alien robot video, And there's others. It's like some of the videos I do remember recording, some of them I don't. The alien robot one was the one that let me know that something really was strange going on. I thought I was going crazy. I thought I lost my mind. And so I was making recordings of myself of things that I thought were strange, but I didn't catch really much. And then one day I was looking at my cell phone and I saw a thumbnail that I didn't recognize, and that's when I watched the video and I saw, hey, I don't remember this, and who's this in my room, you know? Totally freaked me out.
So actually, one thing I want to get out there before we even move along, for anybody who wants to see it, Ward, what's the name of your channel so people can go and look up these videos?
Ward and then Alien Video, 2 words, just Ward and then Alien Video.
Perfect.
On the YouTube channel.
So, Ward, what prompted you to begin filming, strange things to begin with?
Right. I was having, well, I should go back a little. There was a lot of, my life was not going so well. There was a couple deaths in my family. I broke my back, lost my job. And I'm also an insomniac on top of that. So, I mean, things just weren't going well. But, and I wasn't sleeping much. But like these strange things started happening. I thought, I heard my mother and daughter say things, and then when I asked them about it, they said they didn't say them. And then and also, I had forgotten totally about this until somebody else put a comment on one of the videos about getting pictures. Yeah, I was getting pictures on my cell phone before I got the video of pictures I didn't remember, which at the beginning of it, I was just putting up to maybe I hit the phone by accident, took a picture by accident. But the thing is that the pictures always had weird lights and weird things. Like on one of them, it looked almost, there was looked like an angel's wing on it. And that's the only thing I could describe it as. It was totally white with feathers. And it was in my room, in my condo. And, but all that stuff, really didn't click for me. I just was like, this is just an aberration of the photo and everything. And then just, like I said, just one day I just looked at my phone and I saw that odd one. And, I knew that something else was happening too, because, back in, I was born in 1962, so I grew up in the 1970s. So I have done a lot of hallucinogens and stuff. So I know what hallucinations look like and are supposed to feel like on those drugs. And this was not anything like that. It just seemed like I had entered a new, different reality, So,
so Ward, how old were you when this started to happen?
Well, 2012 is when that was recorded. So 2012 was the year.
Okay, so how old would that make you at that point?
That would have made me 50.
Okay, right. So,
Ward, you seem awfully convinced that the beings in the images and in the videos are extraterrestrial. What makes you think that?
Many, many reasons. For one, on the video, which I didn't even realize till just last year, that the way the video is shot, it's an impossible shot. There's a wall and a headboard. The headboard to the bed and the wall are supposed, the angle that the video is shot at from the beginning, you could almost see 4 corners of the bed, and that's physically impossible. So that means that wall and that headboard are totally gone, disappeared. So for one thing, right there, that takes some technology to make a wall and a headboard disappear. I mean, and also, I've had a lot of other strange things happen to me, but I run the gamut to thinking it might be the government playing games on me. At first I thought it was ghost. I thought it was poltergeist, but but also, like, in that video, there's a strange thing on my bed. I even have, they even put a face on my leg, which is still there permanently. It's not a tattoo. It's made out of just the fat in my leg and some skin, and you can see a face on my leg. It's totally freaky.
So what what do you think, prior to when you actually had your first experience, when you started getting things on your phone, did you have a past where you had any paranormal?
No, not really. I mean, most of my life, I've always believed in UFOs all my life. As a child, I was, when the teacher would tell us to read books in school and do a report, I'd always get these books on, like Chariots of the Gods and books about UFOs, and I was always into it. And to me, because of the preponderance of the evidence, I felt that UFOs and aliens were real. But I never imagined in my entire life that I'd ever had any kind of interaction. Of course, I think all of us experience things throughout our life, but there was nothing major. And most of the time, even still to this day, a lot of times something will happen, and I'll just say, did I really see that? I think that's one of the reasons that they let me record it, because I don't really believe a lot of things that I actually can see with my own eyes. It's like, did I really just see that? Yeah, and your brain, automatically doesn't want to believe it. It's like, well, that couldn't have been, and I think maybe that most of us even experience more paranormal stuff than we realize, but we just brush it off,
Yeah.
So your experience starts with these anomalous photographs appearing on your phone, and then it evolves to video.
Correct.
So I'm guessing that the experiences that you begin to have started to escalate from there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, once I found that out, it seemed like, well, also the same, so after I found that one video, I found 3 other videos. Was it 3? Yeah. I'm getting a little confused. Right? I think 2 or 3 other videos that I did not recognize on my phone. I think it was just 2 more. And one showed which is on my channel, a shadow being materializing right outside my daughter's room on her door. And the third video showed me walking to my bedroom, and all of a sudden, as I get to my bedroom door, I'm underneath the sheets of my bed. I just got, there's no cut in between. Just I'm at my bedroom door, and all of a sudden I'm underneath the sheets of my bed, and I'm filming underneath my bed, my sheets of my bed. And that's physically impossible. I mean, for one thing, it was a cheap ass phone from 2009. They didn't have pause buttons. They didn't have anything like that. So, I mean, that was my best. I thought it was the best, because I figured, how can anybody disprove this? Because I had the SD card with it on there and everything. You could see that this was really filmed. But another strange thing is that a lot of my videos have been taken back. The alien robot video, the shadow being video, and that other video I just talked about, all wiped off of my SD card with other videos instantaneously as I was trying to upload them to YouTube.
That's interesting.
But luckily, I was able to make a recording of the shadow being and the alien robot video. But the third one, I didn't get to do it yet.
That's interesting. So you mentioned that you have a daughter in the house. Is there any other family there with you?
Well, I live with my daughter in my condo, which is in Fort Myers, Florida, and my mother lives in Estero, which is a half hour away. So both my daughter and I, we sometimes, we'll stay at my mother's a half hour away, a lot of times just to spend time with her. She's now 86. My daughter's 22. And, that's it. And I don't have any pets or anything. So, it can't be any kind of pets or anything.
So, are you the only one who's experienced this phenomenon, or has your daughter or your mother experienced it?
Well, my daughter has witnessed it, but it's not been directed around her. I'm sorry, excuse me. When I've seen things, I've called my daughter and she's seen it. My mother just recently started having these visits from these people. She's never had anything paranormal, aliens, or anything like that happen in her whole life. And just a few months ago, she's had people, when she woke up in the morning, staring at her while she's sleeping.
That's creepy.
Yeah, very creepy. I had thought it was, since she's 86, I thought maybe she was starting to see these people because maybe it was time for her to go. And maybe they were coming to take her away,
So was this
but
people?
Thank God that wasn't it.
Was this people outside her window? Like,
No, I'm talking about at the edge of her bed. And then when she woke up and they saw that she saw them, they disappeared.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense then, what you mentioned before, because it is something that a lot of people report when they're nearing the end. They see, relatives and
exactly, yeah, and that was straight to my, because she's in great shape, but still, she's never experienced anything like that in her life. And I just lost my father and my sister, and I lost my wife back in '99. And you would think it'd be one of those three people that would be coming there, but it's not. It wasn't those. They stopped as soon as my mother said the last time. And I was here, she said, I don't know who you are, I don't know what you want, but I don't want you here. I didn't ask you to come here. You never come back, and they haven't. So
that's strange. So now that's different from your experience.
Yes, it is.
So would you say that generally, the experience is at least to do with what appears to be UFOs or aliens, really? Is that more isolated in your home, or does it
No, the alien video was recorded in her home.
Okay, so you've had it in both places.
Yes, both homes, both just as strong, just as equal amounts. Wherever I'm spending the time is where it seems to happen.
So it seems almost as if to follow you to an extent.
Oh yeah, that's what they feel. Both my daughter and mother think it's about me.
So,
and also, they even left me a note one time, written in my own handwriting, and it was to me, about me, and telling me that something in my life is going to happen in 7 years, and that's about 2019. So it hasn't had anything to do with the world, and so this is something private, so I'm not going to share that. But and of course, I put the note back in my room, and then I went back like a couple of weeks later, and it's not there anymore. So
that's strange.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Were you poking and prodding anywhere? Like, what do you think set this course of events into action?
Not a clue. The only thing that it changed was that I was under a lot of duress, just stress, and I wasn't sleeping. And that's another thing. It always seems to happen when I haven't slept as much. So to me, in my thought, this is the only theory. This is my theory that, like all of us, we're so concerned about our everyday 3D world that we really can't experience anything else. And I think that aliens and ghosts and everything, because I haven't slept so well, the veil is a little bit thinner, and they're able to contact me then. I think that's why every time that I've captured something on video, it's been because I haven't slept for a night or two.
I do know there's something strange about when you, like, I've not that I have insomnia, but there are times I have trouble sleeping, and there has been periods in the past where I think the longest I stayed up was like 2 full days, like over 48 hours, and there's something about it. I almost feel like I'm stoned, right? Like by the end of it. But I wonder if is it just tricks of the brain sometimes in that sense?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's what I felt. I felt like that. I felt like, but the thing is, like I said, I had done a lot of hallucinogens, and I had in the past stayed up for that time, and I've never had these kinds of experiences before.
Well, I guess the biggest thing in your case is that you have video, right?
Yes, exactly.
So you can't even say it's just in your head.
Right? Because that's exactly what I was thinking. I had even thought, well, maybe these are all just projections of my mind on the video. Maybe I could actually somehow, maybe my mind is able to project these things on the video, and this is all not real. But then they did things like leave me the note, put a face on my leg. They've let me see, from a distance, I've seen UFOs.
Well, looking at what happened so far, what I will say is that it is, for whatever reason, when someone goes through a stressful situation, in other words, when they're vulnerable, right?
Right.
The way you feel, like your energy, obviously your energy is going to be in a more negative state when these things happen, and your energy will actually draw certain things to you, right? It's almost like if you have like something bad happen to you, and then you dwell on it, and that's where the old expression comes from. Bad luck comes in threes, because oftentimes the first bad thing happens, and then you're down, and then another thing happens, you're still down. Because positive energy attracts positive energy, and negative. But I also wonder if there's entities out there that can read the energy signature,
the signal. Yeah,
right.
That's very possible.
And if there's entities that see people such as yourself as vulnerable, then perhaps that's the perfect target to go after, because for one thing, they need somebody that's going to be perceptive to it, somebody who's not all caught up in the moment. The other thing is that, I guess, if you're in a really bad spot, anything that you would say to anybody about like things that you witnessed or whatever, they know that people would most likely assume it's because of your situation. No, it's
exactly
because you're stressed.
Right.
So Ward, you did say that this escalated. You had this.
Yes.
You had these videos, you had these experiences, but at some point things escalated and got really effed up. What happened after you had these videos? Well,
it's not so much. I mean, so much happened in from 2012 to 2014. I'm even forgetting some of this stuff, and then all of a sudden somebody else may question it, and then I'll remind me, oh yeah, I forgot all about that. I mean, so much happened. It's just unbelievable. Well, also I wanted to add that I also during this, after I realized there was aliens, though, I started getting all this nasty, all this nasty talk towards me, and it in English, and I could hear it perfectly in my room and stuff, directed at me, saying terrible things about me. I'm a terrible father, all this kinds of stuff, and and on top of that, I it seemed like I was being followed by vans, and one day I went into my my condo, and I walked by one of my air vents, and I noticed that somebody had been in my house, and they had unscrewed two of the air vents to where the screws were halfway out. To it looks like I had gotten home too early, and they didn't get a chance to screw them all the way back in. Now, to me, who would do that? I mean, a burglar wouldn't do that. An entity wouldn't do that. A ghost wouldn't do that. The only people I could think of who would try to go into your vents is the government.
Well, that was my thought. Well, I mean, first of all, you don't have a history of mental illness, right?
No.
Right. So, and you're 50 too, right? So if you were going to have issues, and that's why I asked how old you were earlier, because that stuff, usually presents itself at a younger age.
Exactly. Exactly.
So being older, and being able to, throw that away. That's not the case. It's interesting that especially you get these videos, you don't know where they come from. I should ask, did you notice people following you before or after you put those videos online?
After.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you put these videos online, and then you start getting these.
Well, no, I'm not sorry, not online. They weren't online yet. No. This is they weren't online at all. No, they just got online late 2015.
So how do you think they? I mean, I know we're getting into conspiracy theory territory here, but
exactly.
As they say, cell phones. There's theories, right, that anything that you put on them, I mean, you're always connected to the internet, and there's theories that there's government groups that can monitor, and everything that goes through your phone goes there. I mean, do you think that there's
just activate your microphone remotely,
or just activate exactly? So do you think that there's like possibly a group somewhere, either government or military, or even self-funded through like billionaire, entrepreneurs who, they actually look for this stuff. They scan through these things, trying to find exactly what you have. And if that's the case,
I'm not sure. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to say I don't think that's the point. I don't think that's it. I don't think they go through my phone and stuff. What I believe is that they probably noticed, maybe because they have radar or whatever in the military installations, and maybe they saw that UFOs were around my area, or maybe they're even in league with them, or with some bad aliens. That's what I believe. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. Actually, that's a good point. If I were in a group like that, and I had, somebody had reported activity in a specific area, if I were going to comb over an area for information, that's where I'd do it. And if they do have access to the, the personal information on people's phones, say even through the ISP, like the phone company.
Right, I'm sure, like, afterwards they probably did, I'm sure, and they probably still do right now, because I've had nothing but problems with electronics ever since.
So what do you think the goal was there? You find this thing, I mean, for whatever reasons unbeknownst to us, they don't want anybody to know about it. But truthfully, I mean, you could take, even if your video was like 100% clear, there was no doubt in the world of what it was, and you put it up there, I'm not really convinced that the majority of people would actually care. But the government,
right, exactly.
The government seems so. Or I don't even know if it's the government anymore. I think it's bigger than that. Whoever it is that's overseeing this, I don't understand why it's such a big deal to them. And unless it's true that they do have a contract with our government, between the aliens and the government. I mean, there was this whole theory that, they would be allowed to abduct so many people a year in exchange for technology, and then some believe that happens at those national parks. Those people that disappear, that's where the designated area. So I mean,
I think that also I want to say that they seem to have some kind of alien technology. They seem to be able to do things that our technology cannot do. This government agency, like being able to pop up in areas that like one day I went to Social Security, and I noticed all these people around, and then big guy muscles, sits down right in front of me, and on the back of his shirt it said, "The Elite." The elite.
Oh yeah, I know who they are.
Yeah, and that's what it said on his shirt, and he just like sat around, and then another big guy sat down next to me. Both of these guys were big bodybuilder type, and they were both just sitting there the whole time. I'm sitting there at Social Security, and they never got a ticket. They never got anything. They just sat down next to me and in front of me.
So
but the guy in front of me was the one with the T-shirt that had "The Elite" on the back of his shirt.
So do you think that that was not a coincidence, that perhaps they were there specifically for you?
Well, I went to Social Security the next week because I had to bring a paper or something. The same two guys were there after I sat down. Same two guys sat in the same seats. Well, not in the same seats because it was, in the same sort of seats because I didn't sit in the same seat. But that guy didn't have the elite shirt on anymore. But they were the same exact two guys. Now, out of all the times, thousands of people that go, I'm going to see these same two guys come the exact same day that I went again, and they exactly sit next to me again. I mean, just.
So let's go through some of the. Allegedly, it seems that somebody had gone to your house and for reasons unknown to us, were speaking into your vents. I don't.
Right. I think they were trying to, because after that happened, I went out in my parking lot, but not that day, but like a few days later, and there were 3 cars that all had the exact same license plate, and it said CAMS, CAMS, and it didn't say a state, like in the United States here. Yeah, you guys are from Canada, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, in the United States, every state issues its own license plate. But these weren't from any state. It said the United States of America. And that's what it said on there. CAMS, United States of America. And 3, and it didn't say CAM 1, CAM 2, CAMS 1, CAM 2, CAM 3. They all had the same license plate.
So
I think they were trying to put in my head that I'm under surveillance. That was my thing that I got out of it, because, but the thing is, how would they know when I was going to walk out of my house to put those cars there? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. It seems like they can do things that don't seem normal. And if you tell this to people, they're going to say you're crazy. But, my daughter and mother have witnessed, some of the stuff that I've shown, so.
Well, the interesting thing, actually, most cases where somebody believes that they're being chased by, whether it's the Men in Black or the CIA, it's always like that. It always puts them in a position where their story sounds crazy to anyone they tell it. And I don't think that's an accident. I think that's specifically so that nobody believes their stories, to discredit them, right? So what other, was there any more examples of, we got them going to your events, we got them, oddly enough, these guys show up kind of suspiciously, 2 different occasions when you go to this place, and then you got these cars with weird license plates. What else had happened? Like, what else?
A lot, like I said, a lot of electronic stuff. Just phone calls. Odd phone. Like I try to make a phone call. Like when I was first trying to contact people about this, no matter who I contacted, I couldn't get anybody. It was no matter who I emailed or what phone call I tried to make, never made a connection to anybody. This was back in like 2013. Or maybe early 2014, something like that. I wanted to, talk to people about this and see if, people were, what was going on. And I couldn't get in touch with anybody. Then I call, I remember there was a number for Bill Burns that I found on the internet. And when I called, I just got, all this just craziest, just sounds I never ever heard from a phone. And then sometimes I would get phone calls, and I still get phone calls, really strange phone calls, where people were asking for somebody else. Also, well, I have this one story that you want to hear the story?
Yeah.
It's okay. Well, I can, actually, I forgot all about this. Okay, well, I was at my mother's house with my daughter, and, this is during that time, and things were, really bad, and And it was becoming morning, and I swore that I saw a person in her house. I swore I saw a man in her house. So I went and told my mother, went and told my daughter, there's somebody in this house. And they weren't believing me. They were saying, there's nobody here. There's nobody can be here. And I said, believe me, you know? And so I ended up calling, I said, well, look, if there's not a man in the house, I am absolutely nuts. So I said, look, I'm going to call 911. So I called because I was going to go. I split myself into a hospital.
Okay.
So, yeah, because I thought, you know, they're not believing me that a man's in this house, and you know, what else is there to do? I mean, I know what I saw, and they weren't believing me. So I called 911. Man, when I called the operator got on the phone, and then she said, "Okay, what's your address?" And I gave her my address, and then she said, "Okay, what's your address?" And so I gave her my address again. And then she said, "Okay, what's your address?" So I gave it to her again. And I said, "Oh, so you're going to ask me for my address again, aren't you?" And she said, "Yeah." And she started laughing at me. This is the 911 operator. This is why I'm saying that these people seem to have technology. How could they have? I guess they could grab calls. I don't know. I don't know how they got me to the point where I was going to call 911 on myself. How could they have known that?
So,
but anyway,
it sounds like your call was intercepted. I mean, is that?
Yeah, that's what I believe. But the thing is, how did they know I was going to make that call? How did they know I was going to? Because wait till you hear the rest of the story. So anyway, I call and the police do arrive with an ambulance, and I tell them, "Look, I'm not feeling right. Something strange is going on. I'd like to go to a hospital and see what they say." So of course they had a stretcher there, and a lady came up to me, and she said, "Hey, remember me? You remember me?" And I never saw this lady in my life, and so I just brushed that off too, and then they put me in an ambulance that, like, I had been in ambulance. I broke a lot of bones and stuff in past, so I've been in other ambulances, and you could always talk to the driver and stuff. But this ambulance was totally different, where the back of the ambulance was completely enclosed by itself. You couldn't interact with the driver at all. It was completely other kind of thing. It was like a truck kind of way. And when I was in the back of the ambulance, I was with this EMT, and he was like really, like, not nasty with me, but like just giving me dirty looks and everything. And he was like, I was telling him, "Look, I'm not feeling right. I'm not sure if everything's okay. Could you please, like, try to reassure me?" Didn't answer me, didn't say anything. And then all of a sudden he gets on his cell phone, and I hear him talking, and he goes, "Yeah, we're gonna we got this guy back here. We're gonna bring him to the dumping station."
The dumping station?
Yeah. Now, talk about somebody that's starting to freak out and think, all right, they're going to kill me.
They're going to take it where they took that guy in Jacob's Ladder.
So anyway, they didn't take me to a dumping station. They took me to a hospital. The hospital I had been before. But it was a different section of the hospital. They didn't take me to the hospital where I had been before. They took me to a different section where I and this other guy were the only patients and the only people other than two nurses in this whole big section of the hospital. Just two nurses, and there was another guy across from me who was naked on a gurney, just screaming his head off, just like wailing and screaming and carrying on. And so, like, I finally said to the nurse, I said, "What's wrong with that guy?" She goes, "Oh, that's what happens when you don't take your meds." Anyway, so, like, by this time I'd become a little bit dehydrated. I said, "Could I get a glass of water?" She comes in with a cup of water, but right behind the cup of water was an eyedropper with its top taken off.
That's foreboding.
So I'm like, all right, they just put something in here, and you see, everything was done to freak me out, And so, of course, after she left, I didn't drink it. I dumped that out and went to the faucet and poured some fresh water. And then this guy across the hall from me, he just keeps on screaming and screaming and screaming. Then all of a sudden, this orderly who looks like they described in Men in Black, this guy looked like he had never seen a day of sun in his life. This guy, he didn't look like he had like hepatitis or anything, but his skin just looked like it never saw the sun. And he was like muscly, but tight and wiry. And he and two other orderlies went up to the screaming guy, and they said, "Oh yeah, this is what we do to pedophiles," and they start beating the crap out of him. And I'm like, "Oh my God, where am I?" So I said, "I'm out of here." So I ran, the exits that say "Do not go through here unless it's an emergency." Well, I ran out those doors. I ran out those doors as fast as I could, but no alarm went off. I thought I hear this big alarm, and I thought for sure they're going to come chasing me. I thought there's going to be cops all over. I really did. I didn't know what was going on, And so I start running away from this place, and then I thought they were going to come and try to, So I see this big 2x4 that's laying on the ground, so I picked it up. So I see that nobody's running after me, so I just start walking. Well, no, actually, I was still running a little bit. And then I got to the highway, and I'm in and out of cars with this big 2x4, and people are whizzing by, but nobody's like looking at me. Nobody's honking their horns. Nobody's calling the police on me. Nothing. It's like everything is normal out there except. But yeah, if I would have saw myself on that highway, I would have called the police and said, "Look, there's a madman running around on the highway with a big 2x4." but nobody did. Nobody called on me, and I started walking home, and but I didn't know, like, I've never driven to this hospital, so I didn't know my way home. So, but miraculously, it was probably like 8 miles to my house, and miraculously I walked directly home without any kind of anybody telling me how to get there. And on the way I called 911 to tell the police that there's something wrong with this hospital, and if they could come and talk to me, I'd really appreciate it. They never came. And then I called my mother and I said, "Look, I'm on this road. Come pick me up." And she tried calling me back, and nothing. She couldn't get back in touch with me. And after all that, I walked home, and I got home in about like 4 hours. It took a long time, and then I got home.
I gotta say the hospital part is very eerie to me. I mean, first of all, even in a small place, you just don't find large areas that are
unoccupied.
Empty like that. But a couple of things that they got to me. Okay, you got the naked screaming guy. You don't see that, right? They're covered up, but
right.
But even like, okay, I do believe pedophiles should be beat, but I can't see the orderlies doing it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes. And why weren't they beating him before? Well, why isn't this guy in prison? Why isn't this guy in jail? Why is this guy naked?
It almost seemed like a show for you in a way.
Exactly. Yeah, but the thing is, how you just think of the logistics of having to pull all this off, and how did they know that I was going to go crazy at that time? Unless they had some kind of like device, like microwaves in my brain, making me go crazy at the time. And my mother and daughter, of course. This isn't something that I dreamed up, because they know that I went to the hospital. They saw me get in the ambulance and everything, so they know all about this. And she says, we tried calling you back. You never picked up.
So aside from these, this particular trip to the hospital and some of the things that you're describing sound like a phenomenon known as gang stalking.
Yes.
Were there any other, paranormal events that transpired after receiving, finding the videos and having this gang stalking episode?
Millions of them. As far as paranormal, let me see. Well, the latest one, which I have a video of, which happened in just July of this year, which was really, the whole week was just totally freaky. I was at my condo, and when they were around, when I know the aliens are around, all my light bulbs no longer give off a white light. They give off like an orangish, reddish glow, which I also have on videos. You could see that these lights are no longer giving off a white glow; they're giving off an orangish and reddish glow. Yeah, I have more videos too, but I just haven't put them out because they're not edited. I'm not a computer expert or video expert at all. I think maybe you could tell by the way your videos are on here. But anyway, the lights give off a red, orangish glow, and that's one of the reasons I know that they're around. That makes no sense. It's like I entered another dimension or something, because these lights always give off white light. Anyway, that day back in July, I saw that the lights, were giving off this odd glow and everything, and they had told me all of a sudden in my head, not a voice, but it was just like, hey, you should go outside right now. And I said, you really should go outside. Not a voice telling me that. I was like myself saying, I think I want to go outside. I want to go outside. I need to see something. So I went to my back porch, and I live in a condo. I live in the middle of Fort Myers, which is a city in Florida, and I don't know what the population is, 100,000 or something like that. I don't know. So I'm in the first floor of a condo. There's three floors in my condo. People live year round, and I go out to my back porch, and I notice that my condo light is the only light on. Every light, as far as I can see, is out, and not one car moving, and the air was hardly moving. It was like they had shut off the power and shut off time for everybody else other than me. It was just like everything was a super still, no lights for as far as I could see. And I was about to whip out, at that time, I was like, hey, this is strange. I was about to take a video, and I was like, well, what is this? I'm going to show people that there's no lights anywhere. What would that prove to anybody, that people just didn't have lights on? But there's no cars, nothing. And totally freaked me out. And during that week, also, I was in my bedroom in my condo, and I felt that the lights were, changed again, and I felt like there was something out in the living room. And I was scared. I was like a little girl. I didn't want to go out there. I was afraid. People who say that they can have aliens running around and not be scared, I don't see how that can happen. I'm from New Jersey. I can say I'm not a weak guy by any means. But having aliens or whatever around you, it's very scary. So anyway, there's a big gap underneath my door in my bedroom, about 1 or 2 inches. And I said, well, I'll take my camera and I'll pan it underneath the door to see if I could see somebody walking out in my living room. So I did do that. And then, I stopped filming, but I didn't watch the video at that time. And I watched the video hours later, and I saw that there was an eyeball looking back at me underneath the door.
That's creepy.
Yeah, actually, I did watch that video. That was strange.
Yes. It's green. It's like a green being with a friggin' eyeball and he's looking right back at me. And I don't know why I didn't watch the video at that time, but I'm glad I didn't watch the video at that time, because I think I probably would have ran out of there screaming, you know?
So, Ward, have you, like, one thing that's common with many people who witness either aliens or UFOs and the wrong people find out about it is that they often get threatened. Sometimes it's a veiled threat.
No threats. Nope.
Okay.
Not one threat. And that's another thing. You know, if this is about trying to keep me quiet, I swear, you know, I'm a good person, and if the government really did come to me and said, look, there are reasons that we're keeping this quiet, because really it does. I mean, you know, and give me a good reason, I would never say a word. I really wouldn't. But nobody's ever come to me. Nobody's ever threatened me.
So all bets are off. We're telling everyone.
Yeah, but you know, it's the truth. I mean, I try to be a good person. I try to do the right things, you know. And if you know, somebody comes and tells me there's a reason behind why they're doing it, fine. But you know, all these strange, there's no rhyme or reason behind any of it. It doesn't make any sense.
So,
you know, but like I said, oh yeah, there were a lot of threats that people were going to kill me and stuff, but that was like in my house, and it wasn't about the videos and stuff. You know, like, this goes back to the gang stalking and stuff. You know, people are saying that they're going to come to my house and kill me, and that I was a terrible father and all this other stuff. Yeah, you're right. You know, I forget about all this stuff until people ask me these questions. That's right. So I forgot. You know, I try not to remember those things, though.
So when you were hearing through the vent, that's the kind of thing that would be where the threats came from.
Exactly.
And was it on more than one occasion?
Oh yeah, many times.
So when did it stop?
Actually, just about the time that I started going public.
Okay. I would have stuck a camera out there and just tried to see.
Oh, I tried. I tried recording. I did get them. One time, I got a good recording of they were making fun of Jesus, and like, it was like they had a comedy album, but it was all like Satanist. It was like they were making these jokes about like saints and Jesus and Mary, and then you hear people laughing in like an audience, like you hear like a comedian, oh yeah, Jesus, and then all of a sudden you hear this laugh track, and then another one, and then another one, and I had this on recorded.
Do you have that online?
Yeah, I did, but I don't. This is also around the time that I didn't know anything about cell phones or computers or anything. So you know that when I was running from in the hospital,
yeah,
I was thinking maybe they could track me through my SD card. So I took an SD card and chucked it. And so maybe we could go. I could go back there someday with a metal detector and find that sucker, you know. But because I didn't know anything about cell phones, how they worked, right? You know, I'm not a big electronics guy, so I really thought maybe they could track. That's how they could track you, with your SD card, which now I know it's totally idiotic.
So, Ward, do you still have regular run-ins, or like are things still happening today? Actually,
things really have calmed down, and both the alien and the gang stalking stuff, all that stuff has seemed to calm down once I went public. So I don't know if that could just be a coincidence. I don't know. You know, I really don't know. But you know, I'm gonna tell you something. Anytime I had interactions with, I felt the aliens, like when they seemed to be around, they never seemed threatening to me. They never seemed like they were out to hurt me. And believe me, with their technology, they could have hurt me anytime they wanted to. And like, you know, it seemed like they were trying to. This is my thoughts, that the aliens were trying to show me that I'm not a crazy person. That's why they had me film some of this stuff. But maybe the government had some way of going in and pulling those videos out. I don't know. Because it sure seems like, why would you let somebody record something and take it back? Or maybe they just wanted me to see this stuff. But the thing is, they did let me keep some videos, like that eyeball video. They never tried to take back. I've had some other really good videos that people have been taken back, but it doesn't. The whole thing just doesn't make any logic. I mean, this would drive Spock crazy. Nothing here is logical. Everything is totally illogical. They give me videos, they take videos back. They give me videos, they let me keep some videos. I hear these nasty voices, but then I hear these aliens seem nice to me.
Maybe it's an experiment. Like there's a group somewhere that's just like, let's just mess with this guy. Let's just see what happens. We'll
right.
We'll whisper into his vent, and we'll take him to this weird hospital. We'll put some stuff on a cell phone, and they're just sitting back having a big laugh at it right now.
Could be, man. I tell you, that's just as good as reason answers anything else that I could think of. I tell you, one thing that they did do is that in one of my videos, a low, deep, metallic voice said to me, "Red light, you are the first one."
That's bizarre.
Now that doesn't mean anything to me. The only thing I have a red laser on my keychain that I play around with. I was thinking maybe that's why they call me red light. But still, the first one of what?
Maybe you're the first one they're gonna pick on and do all these strange things. So, as far as stories goes, yours is pretty out there.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here trying to think of a motive or like you said, trying to make sense of it, and it's really hard to make sense of, but it does sound at the same time is interesting, right? The hospital part
right.
Really, what it reminds me of? I don't know if you've ever seen this movie, but there's this movie called The Game, and it's got Michael Douglas.
Oh yeah,
in it,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, I saw that movie. Yep,
right.
Yeah, you're right.
And there was just all these strange coincidences, and it was just this big elaborate puzzle. In the end, he ended up finding out basically,
it was done by his brother.
Yeah, he learned what it was like not to, that money wasn't everything. That
right,
what was really important in life, and that was the gift. The only gift that he could give him that he didn't have. And I can't help but wonder that if there was something like that in your story, that thing that you're gonna find out in 7 years, right? Maybe it's gonna be like,
No, I know what it is. That's what they told me. I mean, it said so on the letter.
How much faith do you have in it?
How much faith do I have in it? Absolutely. I don't. Well, so far, they haven't shown me anything to be. I don't have an answer for that, man. Honestly, I really don't. I mean, I can't. I wouldn't say. I can't believe anything they've shown me or done. I just can't. I am just so confused about all of this. That's one of the reasons I decided to go public too. Is that I was hoping that I could find other people with similar stories.
Well,
mine seems to be. See, Whitley Strieber, had a lot of strange stuff, but so many people. I wish people would take lie. I'm willing. Myself, my daughter, my mother, we're all willing to take lie detector tests to prove that my stories and videos are 100% true. And I wish more. That there was one available that was cheap, and I wish that a lot of these people that are putting these stories out there would do something like that, so I could maybe start to believe. Because I know some of these people are out and out lying to make money.
Well, sometimes people from our show do actually meet people with similar stories through their story, either in the comment sections. I've even had people email me and say, I've had a story similar to this person's story. Can you put me in touch, and so on. One person who I feel it felt similar in the stuff that he had experienced to a degree was a guy that we interviewed called, or his name was Dante Kelly Das. And he might be someone to talk to. I mean, if you can, if you can find him somewhere, I don't know if he's got his own YouTube channel, but we got a video with him.
Okay, so can you send me a link to that so I know, because make sure I know which one I get the right one.
Yeah, I could probably find that for you. He might be someone to talk to,
or just his name actually, or just his name. That would be just as good.
Okay. Well, when we clue up, when I get this online, I'll see if I can.
Right.
You know, I say I'm gonna try, but my memory is like that of a goldfish sometimes. But yeah, he would be one to talk to because Ryan, you could probably chime in here. Dante Kalidas, his story is a lot like Ward's, wouldn't you say?
Certainly. Now his, of course, focus more so on the gang stalking and some of the electronic harassment.
Yeah, but it was still harassment. It was still a lot of like really hard to categorize.
Right.
It was
I have had people leave comments about that they are finding stuff on their phones. I've had a couple, like 2 or 3 people now contact me. They found stuff on their phones, but say some of them, I've seen it, but it's nothing like mine, and they're only pictures now. So maybe it's gonna progress the video, or maybe not, or maybe I don't know.
Well, in Dante's case, they had used people and technology in a way to really, in a way that he felt manipulated his life to a degree, right?
Yeah, that's the gang stalking phenomenon.
Right. So that's the closest, the person that comes to mind most. And like I said, sometimes we do interviews with a couple different people, and their stories are similar enough that they go on beyond the show and start to converse and try to piece everything together. So that might be something. And also, keep your eye on the comments, because every now and then we do have people chime in, who has some experiences or insight into what you're speaking of. And and with that said, Ward, is there anything else you'd like to add before we clue up?
Oh, just that, my feeling is that, like, the paranormal, UFOs, I mean, it's all intertwined somehow. I don't know how, but it just seems like the evidence that I have collected and everything that I have seen, it just seems like it's all just one big crazy thing. And that, if anybody's interested in, like Ward Alien Video, or if you want to reach me, you can reach me at wardalienvideo, one word, at gmail.com.
Perfect. So, Ward, thanks for coming on to the show and telling us your story. And
thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome. And for everybody else, right from the get-go, actually, I hope when I mention it, just go on over to Ward's channel and watch the video, so you have you have it in perspective when he's talking on what happened to him. And again, if you have your own effed up story, we'd love to get it from you. You can submit that to us at effedupstories.com. That's EFFEDUPSTORIES.com. I'll get it on the website and eventually into a podcast. And again, if you have any information on the reptilians, whether it's personal or just stuff that you know of that's not widely known, I would like to get that from you. Yeah. So with that said, everybody, thanks for listening, and I hope you'll tune in next time.
Have a great night, everyone.
On top of that, so, I mean, things just weren't going well. But, and I wasn't sleeping much. But, like, these strange things started happening. I thought, I heard my mother and daughter say things, and then when I asked them about it, they said they didn't say them. And then and also, I had forgotten totally about this until somebody else put a comment on one of the videos about getting pictures. Yeah, I was getting pictures on my cell phone before I got the video of pictures I didn't remember, which at the beginning of it, I was just putting up to maybe I hit the phone by accident, took a picture by accident. But the thing is that the pictures always had weird lights and weird things. Like on one of them, it looked almost, there was looked like an angel's wing on it. And that's the only thing I could describe it as. It was totally white with feathers. and it was in my room in my condo, and but all that stuff really didn't click for me. I just was like, this is just an aberration of the photo and everything, and then just like I said, just one day I just looked at my phone and I saw that odd one, and I knew that something else was happening too, because back in I was born in '62, so I grew up in the '70s. So
Like moths to a flame, you've thrown caution to the wind for a glimpse into our world. Well, now you're in it.
Welcome to Effed Up Stories.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Effed Up Stories. I am your host, Will Pender.
And I am your co-host, Ryan Sharp.
And tonight's channel that has, from the videos that I've seen, they are, like typically, it's kind of hard to see what it is, but I could definitely tell that there was something
right,
with almost like a human shape, but at the same time irregular, that appeared to be on the foot of your bed.
Exactly, yeah. Unfortunately, I had no memory of filming this, and unfortunately the television was the only light on, and it was a 2009 shitty cell phone camera. So all those three things combined, made it not so, great. But, I thought about it for a while, and I wasn't even going to release any of my videos because, they're not perfect. But then I was thinking, well, just because it's not perfect, does that mean that nobody wants to see it? No, of course not. It's really, that right now, this is the best that we have out there, I think. Every other alien video I see seems to be fake. I don't see too many really real ones. And if it does seem real, it always seems to be done by an anonymous person, so you can't find out, anything about it.
So that answers one part of my question. Was like, what made you decide to record it? So you don't recall. Tonight we have a guest with us. His name is Ward Weinheimer, and he has some very interesting videos that seem to have captured actual aliens on film. And he also has, of course, very strange stories to add to that. But before we get into Ward's story there, I just want to run through a couple things. If you have your own effed up story on the paranormal or UFOs, we'd love to get it from you, get it onto the website and into a podcast, and you can do that by visiting the official website, which is effedupstories.com. That's effedupstories.com. Go to the menu, hit the submit link, fill out the form and hit submit, and we'll get that done. And also, for anyone who has any personal experiences or information that's otherwise hard to come by regarding reptilians, I'm very interested to hear from you as well. We're doing a little bit of research on behalf of one of our donators, known only as the eccentric listener. So if you could get that to me, and we can get that to him, and also we're going to be doing a podcast on the topic. So if you could do that, that would be greatly appreciated. And with that having been said, welcome, Ward, to the show.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Very happy to have you. So let's just start from the beginning. So my initial introduction was you sent me a link to your YouTube. Actually doing it. It was just
that one, the alien robot video, and there's others. It's like some of the videos I do remember recording, some of them I don't. The alien robot one was the one that let me know that something really was strange going on. I thought I was going crazy. I thought I lost my mind. And so I was making recordings of myself of things that I thought were strange, but I didn't catch really much. And then one day I was looking at my cell phone and I saw a thumbnail that I didn't recognize, and that's when I watched the video, and I saw, hey, I don't remember this, and who's this in my room, Totally freaked me out.
So actually, one thing I want to get out there before we even move along, for anybody who wants to see it, Ward, what's the name of your channel so people can go and look up these videos?
Ward and then alien video, 2 words, just Ward and then alien video.
Perfect.
On the YouTube channel.
So Ward, what prompted you to begin filming, strange things to begin with?
Right. I was having, well, I should go back a little. There was a lot of, my life was not going so well. There was a couple deaths in my family. I broke my back, lost my job. And I'm also an insomniac.